was once alive. Time was on my side. I had hopes and dreams, but now so it seems these things are dead and gone. Like me, they're dead and gone. They buried my body down under that cold, cold ground. But though I have died, my spirit survives to wander this land forevermore. I'll wander this land forevermore.
Welcome back to the next chapter, or shall we say part of a chapter. Chapter 8A, Connections. Tonight's game is going to be a little bit different. Monica's not feeling 100%, but she is well enough to shit talk as the shadow. So she will be here to do that. But tonight will be a focal game, if you will. It is entirely focused on Vissenta's interactions with Dante on the train. This certainly won't be as long of an episode as we normally do, but it will add some interesting fill to what our story needs some exposition on, as well as some answers maybe to what happened in our previous game. There may be some things that you hear in this episode that will make little to no sense to you, but just know that it was probably an answered question from the previous game. I will try my best, with that said, to expound on anything that needs to be expanded on to make sure that it makes sense to the context of what you've heard so far. With that said, let's kind of touch base on what the heck happened last time, as we are wont to do. Who wants to go first?
Cassandra has a plan for the head of the Penitent Legion.
She's got a plan for the clan.
Yes, she has a plan for the clan, and it's actually in Lafayette Cemetery, which is the same cemetery that the Giovannis are in.
Nothing bad could happen there, right?
Oh, of course not. Nothing bad could go wrong there. So that could either help them or hurt them, or probably both.
Okay.
Vissenta is now on the Midnight Express with Dante going back to the New Orleans necropolis.
Mm-hmm.
And Dante has told her that he is going to transcend.
Attempt to, anyway. Yeah.
Attempt to transcend. And this is probably the last time he's going to see her.
Correct.
So she's kind of like, the shit? Like, she gets it. Because, you know, he's, I mean, a 700-year-old Wraith. You know, if you want to transcend, you know, by all means go transcend. But at the same time, it's like, I just woke up, man.
Yeah.
Like, I have been wherever the crap I've been staked for centuries, you know, not seeing anybody.
Mm-hmm.
There's all these, you know, change and transition things going on, and everything has changed. She's feeling a little abandoned, but she's trying not to let him know that, if that makes sense. Like, she doesn't want to guilt him.
Sure.
You know. But they've got a little time, so they're having their little heart-to-heart.
Okay.
So.
Anything else that we need to discuss?
Oh, she met Nicholas, Santa Claus. And had that conversation where he was just like he had this knowing about her shit. Like, it's like he knows way more about her than she does about him. And it's a little unnerving, to say the least.
Gotcha.
And he's spoken very cryptically to her about certain things. Now, the implication with her riding this train is that she's choosing a more Wraith-like existence, but I don't know that that's actually necessarily going to be the case, especially since when she's talking to Dante, Dante's like, well, I'm going to go try to transcend. She's like, well, cool. That's like the last reason I had to try to stick around here. So probably going to make this next choice a lot easier. Unless, of course, he's like, yeah, Ignacio. He's like over down the street and like, just cut 2 houses down and knock on the door, which is not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Well, he'd be kind of an asshole if he never brought that up.
Ignacio would be kind of an asshole. It's like, you were just down the fucking street.
He might not know anything.
You dipshit. I'm sure she's gonna ask. She's working up the courage to ask him even about Ignacio, but I'm sure she's gonna ask him, and he's gonna be like, "I don't know.
Yeah.
I know nothing." And she's gonna be like, "Damn it! What is with everybody? Did nobody keep fucking track of him? Like you didn't even know that I was gonna ask." But
I don't think you have to worry about that. I think I have prepared adequately for that. So
I'm gonna get my feelings hurt. Okay.
What?
Why you always assume the worst out of me? Come on.
I assume the worst out of everything.
It's not like we're playing the world of happiness, remember? The world
That's
of brightness.
true. Yes.
Oh wait. Oh shit. No, we're not.
So yeah, we'll see where that goes. Did I miss anything? Is that...
I think that's it. I think you have nailed it.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's get into it. The Midnight Express roars back along the tracks, making its way to all destinations at the same time.
Damn.
However it does it. Maybe it is the magical Santa Claus Express.
Yeah, I was going to say, sounds like Santa.
But for some reason, you'll be back after being on this train for nearly, my God, 10 hours now. You'll be back again at midnight.
The same day?
Different day.
Different day. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You've had time. Feels like more than the hour and a half that Dante said. And maybe it has been. But he sits and listens and tells you of his life, his times as a Wraith.
Mm-hmm.
He tells you what he knows of what became of Clan Giovanni. Yes, Clan Giovanni. He tells you that, and you've heard some of this before, I believe, that in the 1500s, that Giovanni clan took over in Venice, that those that were Cappadocian and just happened to have the last name Giovanni were still very much considered Cappadocian. And that to be rejected so wholeheartedly by her family and kindred society at large, because that's what became of Venice, it became a city of Giovanni, was devastating to Ella Messina. But Ella Messina is nothing if not a survivor.
Yeah.
And he talks of how she went underground forgot the name Giovanni for the most part. And in turn, forgot about those Giovanni who had passed on. So when you aren't needed in the Shadowlands as much, you start to look lower. You start to look closer to the source of Oblivion, into Stygia. You make your way into that society. You join guilds. You serve the Legion. Over hundreds of years, things change. You find different purposes. Until at last, once the things that felt like they were holding you to the Shadowlands were gone. That there was a breaking. And that you felt that those that you had seen lost to you, to Oblivion, to poor choices, those that you saw succumb to their shadow. And as much as it broke your heart, it was either lose them forever or forge them into a scythe. That you became a reaper in the hopes that should anyone you recognize from the hundreds of years that you've no longer existed find their way here, that you could help once again. And then one day she shows up. And instead of overwhelming joy, all that's left is a sense of responsibility. A sense that knowledge must be passed on to a new generation so that you can finally find some sort of peace in this eternity. Your father sits before you now after having told you all this. Sighs. Says, we haven't had a lot of time on Earth or here to talk. I certainly believe society has grown quite more, shall we say, progressive on how fathers are allowed to interact with their children, especially their daughters, to show emotion and love. And I think that last gift that I can give to you is to show you that. And to help you before I leave. What do you want to know?
Oh, she's trying not to cry. Holy shit. She has to take a moment to kind of compose herself.
Mm-hmm.
Because in her mind, before she fell, her thinking was, okay, if we survive this fall, maybe spend a little time in torpor, recover, and then, go on about our way. But that's not what's happened, And in her mind, she was like, but if we don't survive, I think she was confident that both her and Ignacio would become wraiths and that they would be with her father, her brothers, her mother, their son, and all these people that was their family. So, like, either way that it worked out at the time, she was like, this is a win-win.
Mm-hmm.
And none of this has happened. She doesn't have her family.
Yeah.
And she's not going to have her family on either side. And when you're grown up and ingrained on family is everything. You serve the family. Well, what happens when there's no longer a family to serve?
Yeah.
So she's trying to kind of get it together. And she's going to, I know last time she asked him about the maskers and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's not going to ask him again, but she is going to let him know. She goes, well, one thing I want to clear up with you, because I saw your reaction earlier when I was asking about the Maskers Guild and things of that nature. It's not to try to reclaim any identity. This is not a vanity issue. But you have to understand, Maldo has all of my fetters.
He nods.
The only thing that I have is the fact that I am a kindred wraith. That is what makes me unique, and that is what makes me interesting. If they start to view me as a regular, average, run-of-the-mill wraith, I become completely expendable. They have to have a reason to keep me around, even if that is to just study. I have to maintain that intrigue.
I can see where you're coming from.
What if you could just be at peace with Ignacio? Wouldn't that be simpler?
She kind of sighs at that. She goes, there are ways to hide it from Wraith society. She goes, I managed to hide it from human society.
Yes, and you should. That's fine. Do not tell people your name anymore.
Point taken.
Do you know what the Giovannis hope for?
Out of character. I don't know if she knows that or not.
Probably not.
She just shakes her head no.
They want to tear down the shroud.
Like, she kind of chuckles like that. Like, you've got to be joking. Like not of like almost like ignorant little children giggle. Like, because you have to, because from her perspective, she can see it from both sides, and she kind of laughs, and she goes, I guess I shouldn't laugh. She goes, if I didn't have this perspective, I might have thought the same thing.
They want to tear it down, have an army of us to command and rule the world.
Oh my goodness.
They do not understand specters. They do not understand Oblivion. They do not understand wraiths. Not truly.
No, they don't. If they tore down the shroud, it would be a disaster for them.
Yes, and you see that here. You understand. But can you imagine, and how do you think wraiths feel of them knowing this?
I imagine not too kindly, but at the same time,
They're monsters.
and I imagine there are some on this side that would work with them and take advantage of that, because if the shroud were to come down, they would be the ones with the advantage.
Specters.
Oh, me.
So, it's very unlikely that they fulfill this, but you understand the danger.
Well, don't underestimate them. I mean, this is Augustus Giovanni. He's a fool, but he's a determined fool. Always has been. He managed to overtake the Cappadocians, from what you've told me, and that is no small feat. To diablerize an antediluvian?
So you say.
What does that mean?
Nothing. It's not important.
It is important.
There are those that would dispute that that actually happened. That the spirit was taken.
She kind of sits there and she thinks about it and she goes, and that would make infinitely more sense. Don't underestimate an antediluvian. They managed to survive the deluge. She's kind of packing that away. Like, I need to look into that. Oh, man. What a mess.
It is. And you're torn between two worlds.
I suppose.
And you have to ask yourself, are you kindred anymore, or are you Wraith?
Or am I both?
No. You either are one or you're the other.
You're Giovanni. You're Ignacio's wife. You should not be replaced by Maldo. And your crazy sire should not define you anymore. Maybe it would be better to be a Wraith. Keep your name.
And she's kind of listening to this, and I don't know if he can tell that she's getting... Oh, yep, well. What does it mean when that thing inside your head decides that it's better off to be a Wraith?
I don't know. Remember, it's still you. It's the worst part of you. But it's still you.
Yeah. That's what makes it worse.
You learn to live with it, or you learn to get rid of it.
How do you get rid of it?
Well, there are those that know certain ways to either help mitigate what it does or to take on certain service, and the ferrymen are said to have completely shed themselves of their specters. Sorry, their shadows.
Interesting.
Nicholas claims he does not have one. And I tended to believe him.
Well, congratulations, but wouldn't they all say that?
Perhaps.
Fortunately, I'm used to working in a society where trust is not in abundance.
And perhaps that's why you're here still.
Perhaps.
So, I was cryptic about where to find Patches. You can find him in the Iron Hills district. You know the route to get to the Onyx Point.
Yes.
If you go north from there, the Iron Hills district is located there. You can ask anyone standing around that you meet where that you can find the Maskers Guild, and most likely they can direct you.
How will I pay him?
I don't know. That's for you to decide. It's a dark road to go earning Obolai, though.
I don't
but
have
a
any
necessary
intentions.
evil.
I don't have any intention of turning souls over to be forged.
Well, there are other ways to earn your money. But know that you're taking payment in forged souls.
But I can't change a whole society.
No. And it is the only way it works here. It is the only, besides the Tempest, besides Oblivion, it's the only material that exists. That and the rare relic or artifact that gets turned up.
I wish my veil had become a relic. That would have made this a lot easier. I don't know that I relish the fact that I'm going to be wearing somebody.
It's part of it. I wish I could tell you it gets easier with time, but what do they say? You don't ask what goes into politics and sausage? Everything is made of sausage here. If that makes sense.
Perfect. Perfect sense, unfortunately.
You can
I guess
you can offer to trade services for people should you have particular talents.
the only talents I have are breaking the dictum mortem, apparently.
Well, perhaps you could find a guild that you would like to be a part of. Become educated with them.
I can cross the shroud with relative ease.
That's
I can manifest.
You can earn money that way, but know that it will be unethically gained money.
And she's just kind of shrugging, like, and like, I mean, to her, all this is unethical.
We can
like,
speak freely on the train, so I can't say I judge you.
I mean,
Or you can work for your legion.
I don't even know how I'm gonna make it there. They told me to talk to you.
Your legion told you to talk to me?
Yes, the Legion of Fate.
Then that's probably your first step.
Well,
Should you serve them closely, they most likely would have assignments that would earn you income.
and what if I don't like what fate has me do?
Then give up and be with Ignacio, like you really want.
She's just laughing at you. Because it's very convincing right now. Like, it is very just like what the crap do you do? Rock in a hard place type thing. Can I ask you something besides shop talk, so to speak?
Of course.
Was I a fetter for anyone else besides you?
I don't know. I don't know. Like who?
Anybody. I used to walk around and there would be dozens and dozens of spirits with me.
There had to be.
And yet I wake up here and there's no one.
They had to be because you called them. And when you no longer called, they sought other ways, other things. I think, and he kind of looks distantly, maybe you were for your mother? Maybe all the children were?
She kind of nods. How did you find Rena?
She found me.
Yeah.
She's a very determined person.
She is. Yes. She's smiling as she says that.
And at the time, I worked with a ferryman, as I said. I helped, not that they aren't capable on their own, but I helped them escort. Out of curiosity, I must admit, transcendence has always fascinated me. I helped escort them to the far shores where the fishers stayed before they were heretics.
That's lovely. Truly. I can understand the fascination.
And through fortune or fate, if you will, she wanted to move on quite quickly upon getting down here, I must admit. Kept going on and on. Nope, this is purgatory and I need to go to heaven. How does this happen?
Honestly, I don't doubt that she's right. It sounds feels a lot like purgatory.
She says, I have done my time punishing sinners. I am ready for my eternal reward.
Did she know who killed her?
She said it was the damn Sabbat, whatever that means.
I happen to know vaguely what that means.
She says
But
some ghouls of the damn Sabbat.
What city was she in? Did she mention? I know she was in France.
Paris.
Paris. Out of character, Vissenta is filing that away for later times and usage.
Okay.
So, and she goes, and now, she goes, perhaps the question that my shadow does not want me to ask. I asked Almacina and she won't tell me. And I doubt very much that I will like the answer. But what happened to Ignacio?
There is that long of a pause.
Ugh.
Before I answer, know this. Oblivion is the end. But we don't know what's on the other side of Oblivion. And it can be so easy when you feel you lose something to want to give in to the shadow. Countless billions have. You probably heard them screeching on the platform a few hours ago. You give in to something truly monstrous. I believe the vampires called something like it the beast.
Oh, this is much worse than the beast.
It is. It's always there. You become it, and you lose yourself. You become compartmentalized. Where the shadow is now in your mind is where you will be in its place. Tucked in a corner, watching it do horrible things in your name. Okay. So, with all that said, he's dead. When he hit the ground, I was there. I saw you both fall. He broke your fall. He's what kept you in pieces enough to actually be able to be put to not meet final death. But
and she's got her eyes closed and she's got tears streaming down. And she's like, so where is he?
He's, the last time I knew, you were buried together in Ella Messina's crypt in Venice. The little bit when I felt you as a fetter being moved, I saw briefly in the tomb bones. You were picked up and moved. He was not. However, El Messina, screaming in panic, ripped the head from a statue that she had made of you two. I want to say it almost looked like you were dancing. She ripped the head from it and said that she needed the memory. And that was brought with her to America.
I've seen it.
He never
Who was
made
moving
he
me?
never made it here that I know of, Vissenta. I think his spirit was broken long before he arrived here. There were distant memories of you, but I think Ignacio died long before he hit the ground.
But he did make it here.
No, Vissenta. I've
And
looked.
She okay.
Then there's no reason to stay here, is there?
She's just trying to get it together. And she's trying to block her shadow out because at the moment she's definitely, the shadow's making a lot of sense right now.
Name one reason you should stay. Just one.
Yeah, she definitely needs that. And she goes, I'm trying to think of what she would ask. I know she would ask questions, but I'm...
Lost for words.
Oh, she said Discord just dropped.
like...
A little technical difficulty there, but we're okay. What were you saying?
I was saying that I think Vissenta would ask questions, but I don't know at this point. I'm trying to think what exactly she would ask. Like...
Yeah.
And okay, she goes, well, who was moving me? Was Ella Messina moving me and ripping the head off a statue at the same time? What was going on?
She had retainers. Maldo had retainers.
So Maldo
They had to move you
this
quickly.
time.
Maldo what?
So Maldo was already with her at this time.
It was very recent, but yes.
So she managed to stay in her crypt for that long.
Yes. Until he found her and told her it wasn't safe anymore in Venice. That if he had found her, surely others would find her.
Why does she think that she sired him? Is it just the domination? Like she's halfway thinking that out loud to herself. Like I don't know that she expects.
And he just kind of, I don't know. It's what I've gleaned in the limited time that I had aboard the vessel. When you were being moved, I felt my fetter being disturbed.
Was there a lady with her?
Yes. Another one of the vampires, yes.
Yes. So, okay. I'll think about that later.
When I saw them, yes, there was one that was with her.
I don't understand why she kept me staked. And if she kept me staked, why would she feed me? To be brought back and unable to move.
I've thought of it often. I have theories, but I don't have answers.
What are your theories?
Ella Messina saw everything in her society that she was considered such an important part of crumble around her. And I think holding on to you in the way she did was her holding on to something that couldn't get away from her.
And Vissenta just kind of nods, because in her own way, she can kind of... It's like, it's not logic, but you can understand how... I guess she can empathize maybe with that need, if that makes sense.
When I would come to slumber, she would often talk to you. And as the years went on, in her mind, she believed you spoke back.
Oh.
To say that the time below the city of Venice in flooded catacombs for hundreds of years, scraping by on a legacy that would get her killed at this point, was unkind to her, is putting it mildly.
And Vissenta just nods her head. But if she staked me, is it possible that she just staked Ignacio and couldn't move him?
I don't know. But I will tell you that as when I went to slumber, there was no stake. He was, the times that I saw you, the limited times I saw you being fed blood by her, he was not fed.
That's just it. I didn't need to be fed. Once you're in torpor, you're in torpor. Every time, me being staked and her feeding me, that would just break me out of torpor. He could still be in
crossed.
torpor.
Fingers crossed. It actually keeps you from dying.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, mechanically. Like, you actually, as you come out, if you're staked, you're in paralysis, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you still spin blood. So if she hadn't fed you, you would go back into torpor, and then you would, like, when you came out, you would try to consume blood. And if you didn't have it in your system, you meet final death.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's how it works mechanically, just so you know.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm kind of Cliff's noting it. It's a little more complicated, but that's essentially how it works. Had she not gave you that blood, you would have met final death.
Oh, okay. Got you. Yep. My bad.
Yeah,
okay,
good.
So retcon that.
No, you're fine.
So, at that point, she's just kind of nodding, and she's like, yeah.
But that's why I like when really, really old vampires wake up. They have to, like, go on a blood killing spree, type thing. Or they'll just instantly go, so.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. That explains the week of nightmares. Okay. Yeah. But that one antediluvian. Okay. In that case, I think she just kind of wants to gather herself in, and she's going to ask him to just you know, let's just talk about happier times, you know. And then when certain people come up, she may ask, you know, look, what happened? You know, like he's mentioned her mother, and she's like, well, what happened to her? Because, you know, she doesn't actually remember her mother. She just knows from common sense, you know, she had one.
Well, you said you wanted to speak of happier times, so let's not talk of her.
Shade button.
No, he doesn't say that like, ooh, I hate your mom, like sad.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And she goes, what do you know of my children? What happened to them?
They lived happy lives. Outside of the Giovanni politics, Ella Messina kept your wish. She left Giovanna alone.
She just smiles and nods. She goes, it was selfish.
On her
I made
part?
it ask to begin with.
Sorry, I didn't hear you, D.
She said it was selfish of me to ask her
Okay, I got you.
to embrace her in the beginning. That's one reason why she backtracked later and was like, nah, don't do that.
Yeah.
She goes, of course, had she done it, perhaps she wouldn't have been so alone when everything hit.
And then
And
Maldo
perhaps
wouldn't
Giovanna.
be your fucking replacement. Could have at least
then
been your daughter.
She's kind of halfway nodding like, you ain't wrong, Shadow, you ain't wrong.
Yeah, you can mark. Sorry, I'm telling Monica something.
Yeah.
All right, we're back.
Okay, that's fine. She goes, Maldo perhaps would not be here.
Perhaps not.
Of course, I don't know if he's lying or not. I mean, he read all the journals that Giacomo left. I mean, I know Giovanna had to have been mentioned in them. He could be full of shit. But he was awfully excited about the prospect.
I wouldn't
Like,
trust
he
a
didn't
Giovanni
realize.
when it comes to anything that's a matter of a wraith. I'll put it that way.
He said he wouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically he's saying he could be lying.
Yeah, he's saying don't trust a Giovanni.
Yeah. She goes, well, I knew that from the lifetime, from being alive as a human. I mean, you trust your branch and nothing more. And even then, you do so with an ounce of caution.
Even less so now. You have
I
no
agree.
clue at what they've become, Vissenta.
I will grant you that. I will grant you that.
There's a reason my name is Dante and Dante only, and will only ever be Dante.
I understand.
Because you're not as strong as me.
She's kind of gritting her teeth on that one. She's a daddy's girl, though. So, you know, anything about that, she's like, "Rrr." Like, I can talk shit about my dad, but nobody else is better.
You. Yeah.
It technically is you. So.
That's true, but she doesn't feel like acknowledging that at the moment, even
Gotcha.
though she knows it's true. She goes, you said they were away from the politics. Where were they?
They were in Florence.
And she kind of stopped and she goes, why would they be in Florence?
It's where you were for a time. It's where your family, when you started having children, were.
She goes, did Ignacio and I live in Florence?
No. That's right, isn't it? You didn't.
That is right, yeah.
No. Your other husband before him.
She's kind of confused. She goes, but all my children are Ignacio's.
He just kind of, at that, just kind of pitying look.
Like, no shit, I remember. Like, we went through this. And she just kind of shakes it off, like, I'll figure that out later type thing. So if they were in Florence, then, I'm gonna have to learn to read people like I used to. It's possible he is a descendant of Giovanna, but from what I've heard, you know, I could have a lot of descendants through multiple ways. I guess I should have not judged that one horrible bitch in white the way I did at the time.
He just kind of... There's a lot of things you're saying that he doesn't understand.
Yeah. He's probably like, she is cuckoo pachoo.
Well, just keep in mind that, he was only called when he was summoned.
Yeah. I know he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Or if he knows, he doesn't have enough of the picture to put it together.
Right, and it's also been that long ago.
Yeah. Well, for him, yeah.
Yeah.
For her, she's just took a little dirt now.
Right.
And she goes, but nevertheless, she goes, tell me what happened. What about my siblings?
A lot of them didn't make it here. Quintus did, due to the circumstances of how he met his end.
And she kind of perks up at that, like, has a very questioning look. Because she's read the side.
Mm-hmm.
But she don't remember her siblings' names. That was her sly way of like, what were their names? How many were there? She goes, did you call him Quintus?
Yes.
She's kind of has a look on her face. Like she's trying to remember something and she's coming to a very horrible realization about something.
You ghouled him.
And she goes, no, I didn't. I was going to.
You wanted to.
Yeah.
I remember that. Your mother being so angry, screaming at you.
I didn't have a choice. Damage was already done. I was trying to find a way out of it.
Well, you did. He died. It seems like this is still a sore spot for him.
Mm-hmm. And she's kind of like, she's not getting pissy at him because it's the last time she's going to see him, but at the same time, she's kind of like...
Yeah, and he kind of shakes his head. He's like, you carry him with you, and he'll serve you well.
And she cries a little bit more at that. She really gonna cry when she figures all of it out, but... She goes, what about the rest of them? I know there were more.
There were. And they led good lives. I guess as good as a Giovanni can. Which is pretty good, considering how well off we were. Some died of old age. Some met disasters at sea. Some just succumbed to illness.
And at that, she's like, she goes, they were all sick.
A lot of them, yes.
She goes, that's how you died, isn't it?
It is. But I felt that I couldn't leave my children. That I couldn't leave. I had too much to do as being the patriarch of the family. And perhaps that thinking, your mother's way of thinking too, is what made us stay here.
She goes, is that why I got so upset with the Fisher children?
I don't know, Vissenta.
their mother was poisoning them, and they got sick and they died.
Your mother
And I
never poisoned
remember.
you.
I know that. But I remember they were so sick, and their ragged little breaths, and their fever was so hot. She's thinking about the time that her kids were sick,
Mm-hmm.
and her Vitale died. So, and he used to haunt her house. So she's just now coming to the realization of, what happened to my Wraith child?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, and I thought he was getting better, but then he just didn't wake up. And he
Children
used to
do
play-
not do well, Vissenta. Here, they need guidance. It is
He
possible.
played in the house.
It is possible for them to still make it, but that voice in their minds, they think so often that it's an imaginary friend. They don't question like we do.
So is that what happened?
We're going to leave it there.
And she just kind of nods. Because she might, she pretty much has her answer. And in her mind, she's a little upset. Like, and what the fuck were you and Mother doing? Like, you were fucking there. Why weren't you looking out for him? But she's trying not to be a butthole because she knows he's leaving.
And then he sees it on your face. And he's like, I see that look. We did everything we could. Everything we could. Until one day we couldn't. And we saw it in his eyes. And we saw the malicious intent. And it never went away.
And she's just trying to not have that angry look on her face. And then she's just nodding. Like, I understand. Even though it's all...
Death is not kind. The priest told us it was, all those years ago, that it was a mercy. I wish it was so.
She goes, for some, it probably is. Lots of people don't end up here.
The lucky ones, yes.
She goes, before we arrive, tell me one happy memory. Anything. Either in your time on this side or our time as a family. She goes, pick one.
I rode on a train with a daughter who held me to an existence that I learned to thrive in. I got to answer questions for her. I got to say goodbye to her. And I got to leave her with a little bit of hope. With this message. Death may not be the end, but how you live in death can sometimes make a better life for you than anything you ever had over there. It can also become hell. And Vissenta, I hope for you, I hope for your sake, that you find redemption here that you couldn't find in life.
She hugs him.
He hugs you back.
Just that really tight hug.
Then a train whistle.
And she tells him, she goes, I want you to know how much I loved you.
And a slowing down.
She goes, and I want you to know that I'm so glad that I got to be your daughter.
The sound of brakes. And he lets out a sigh. And he says, and I want you to know that I held on for you. That despite it all, despite all I've seen and all I've done, that over the years I would still return to you. Or your mother's brooch. But always you first. And I know you have good in you. Prove me right. I love you.
She nods and she goes, I love you too. And then I guess it's time for her to get off the train.
Now departing. All stops. Stygia next. Departing now for New Orleans. Please deboard.
I guess she'll... Because she's got to get off the train now. She can't ride it back to Stygia and back and forth the whole fucking time.
You can.
I mean, but he's not... He's going to his destination, though.
Yeah.
He's going to transcend.
Yeah.
And so she's going to tell him, please be safe. Does she...
I have no guarantee that it will be, but I look forward to the possibility. And listen, if this ever becomes a path you want to walk, talk to Nicholas. Get on the train and just talk. But earn that. Do right. You don't have to be Vissenta Giovanni. You can just be.
And she just smiles and nods because she does not want to make him upset before he goes and transcends. So she'll give him a kiss on the cheek and tell, say, I love you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Does she see Nicholas as she's getting off?
Yeah, he's standing next to him, kind of behind him.
Can she kind of drag him towards the door a little bit because she wants to say something to him out of earshot of Dante?
Yeah, you can motion for him to come over.
Okay.
Not gonna really drag him, but yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
politely, like
Yeah.
kind of come over here.
Right.
When they're out of earshot, she asks him, she goes, can you please make sure he gets to his destination as safely as possible?
I have every intention of doing just that.
Good. And then she goes, and in a few nights, I'll try to find a way to be able to pay to get to Stygia so that somebody can take me to, is it Eurydice? Or Eurydice or wherever.
Eurydice, yeah.
She goes, because I have a feeling if I don't show up, somebody's going to come drag me there anyway. Or worse. She goes, but on the way there, she goes, I'm very interested to speak to whoever was at the front of the car.
If you wish. Dante grasps your hands in his, and you feel something in his hands. And he says, I wish you the best. And he gives you one long hug, and he's like, okay, you better get going. Your friend needs you.
Okay. And then she's like, what the hell? Like, how does he know?
And you see behind him a guy in a purple suit. And he says, I'm sorry, I couldn't get off the train. I just had a feeling. Your friend Cassandra, is it?
Yes.
She needs your help.
Well, let's go.
Oh, I'm not. No. I think only,
Where is
I think
she?
only
I don't-
your name will help in this situation.
My name.
Yes.
And she looks at him and she goes, my name?
Yes. Yes.
She's trying to figure out this.
She doesn't know what she's put herself in danger of. She doesn't know how bad she's made it for herself.
Where is she at?
Lafayette Cemetery, or she will be.
She has that, oh fuck, look on her face. And she goes, thank you.
And then you look in your hands as you let go of Dante's. And how many siblings did you have?
6.
There's 6 coins in your hand.
He told me they all didn't show up here.
That's not what they are.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I was like, I can't spend my siblings
No.
except Renzo. Fuck him.
No. They're not. That's not it. He just
Okay.
he looks at you and he says, you had 6 brothers and sisters.
Just brothers. I didn't have any.
Yeah, brothers. That's right. Sorry. You had 6 brothers.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. I forgot.
It's okay.
I
Yeah.
can't keep track of all your shit. There's so much.
I know, there really is. I had to review it. It's okay.
And he tells you each of their names. And he tells you you don't have to remember them, but that's who you are in life.
She goes, well, I want to remember them.
We'll try. It'll come a
I
time.
will.
Remember what I've said. And do your
Jesus
best.
nodding. I will. I promise. I will do my best. And then she's gonna hurry off to Lafayette because she's like, shit. And then she's thinking, why'd he name them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Well, it's like lazy writing or something.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, except for Carmine. Carmine is the only one because I couldn't find a 4. So, she's like, what happened?
You hurry your way through the streets of the necropolis of New Orleans. By this point, it is midnight, which is what time was on the note for a Mr. Miller to arrive
Ooh.
to claim his victim. We'll find what leads up to that next week when we tell Cassandra's side of the story of this night.
Yay!
But I'm going to go ahead and have you both mark 3 XP on your character sheets. This will also
I'm gonna tell you something. The
be for
shadow was
Cassandra's.
on point.
This will also be for
Like there-
Cassandra's.
I'm not gonna lie, because there were times I was like, "Damn it, why is she here? Why doesn't she just?"
Yeah.
Shadow almost convinced me.
Yeah, the shadow is definitely gonna be hammering that home.
Yeah.
And that's a good question. What's Vissenta thinking right now?
I
right
mean,
now you're
right-
focused on the task at hand.
Yeah, like her now she's like, "Oh shit, I gotta help Cassandra," but ultimately it's like she's here for a reason, and you know, if Ignacio's not here, then what is that reason?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't. I mean, you don't just show up here if you don't have a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you thought you did.
Yeah, but evidently there's something more to it, or in her mind, evidently there is something more to it. And she keeps thinking about how Dante said, you don't know what the Giovanni have become. You know, they're so terrible. They're so awful. Ella Messina's told her terrible, awful things about the family. You know, she got this Moldo piece of shit. She doesn't know, is this my descendant? Is this not my descendant? Who the fuck is this dude? And if this is my descendant, like, is this who I want running around, you know, representing me? And she's also thinking about to that dream that the shadow gave her, you know, about dancing all over the corpses with that severed head. And she's like, but I was dancing, and dancing's a cool thing. And it's like, maybe the Giovanni deserve what's coming to him. Like, maybe I have a hand in that. Like, she's, you know, and also she's showing up to having to give her your name's going to help in this situation. So she's like, maybe the Giovanni need a wake-up call. Maybe I need to talk to those people in the front of the train and see who the fuck that is. And if I made it and Rena made it, who's to say all those angry Cappadocians, some of them didn't make it?
We'll have to see.
Until
we see you all again for Chapter 8B of our story, Showdown.
Oh, I'm so excited.
We will bid you adieu and wish you spooky night. Have a good one, everybody.